Miss Amy is with Prism, and Prism provides excellent healthcare resources and information. And Amy, you don't know this yet, but after this panel, I'm going to bug you once again because I have been asked to work to increase vaccination rates. And so if you all are willing, I can get Dallas County to do a registration event for your client base and or work toward um, work toward you all being a vaccination center, if that's okay.
Okay.
And our friend Shannon, again, the mastermind behind this, if we can do it, may be willing to do a Facebook Live while she gets her shot to be able to share that out, to encourage additional people to get vaccinated. So now that everyone within the state that's an adult is eligible to be vaccinated, we just wanted to make sure that we don't leave out any of the vulnerable populations. And so we wanted to make sure that individuals from the LGBTQAI plus community were given the opportunity to be vaccinated. And what we're finding is some people have hesitancy going to a big county thing or a big state thing. They want to go where they already are clients, where they already know people. And so we're hoping that that would help increase vaccination. So we'll talk about that.
Okay.
Hello, Krista. Hello, Krista. Carrie or Hawote, we may have a volume or sound issue with Krista.
I just opened up her mic, so Krista, you should be able to talk. I didn't manually call you.
I'm sorry?
I manually opened up her microphone, so you should be able to talk, Krista, if it's working.
Yes.
Okay.
Hello, I am so sorry you had problems getting in and links and technology. I am so grateful for Miss Carrie and Miss Hawote being able to get those things worked out because I know nothing about technology. I click and hope it works.
Yeah. Me too.
So, may I introduce to you all Miss Krista De La Rosa, who is a radio personality and a Krista, were you a part of, I know you're a part of it too, were you involved in the mural?
Yeah, so we worked with Impulse Group Dallas to get that done.
Excellent.
Dallas to get that done. The artist was actually from New York who painted it. So we contracted him for a whole week to get that done. So he literally got it done together with everybody at Impulse Group Dallas in a week.
Excellent. It is beautiful. It is beautiful. I wanted to let everyone know that we are now on live and recording. I want to welcome today's event. I want to let you know exactly 11 o'clock. I like to give a minute or so for other people to join. So if you don't mind hanging out for just a bit, and we will begin very shortly. Hello and welcome to today of individuals with me today. And I am so excited that they made time to speak with us and to share their experiences with us. I want to begin by saying Happy International Transgender Day of Visibility. I am so delighted and so honored to be here with you all and to share this experience with you. This is the first time the City of Dallas has recognized this day, and I am delighted that we have the opportunity not just to have a proclamation, but to also have this discussion. For City of Dallas employees, there is also a discussion that will happen today at noon, and that panel discussion is being led by DPD and our Human Resources Department. They'll be sharing information about resources for city employees who are transgender, non-binary, so that you know and understand your rights and responsibilities. Really your rights, because your responsibility is just to be a great city employee. So thank you all. I would like to begin today by introducing Miss Kelly Pelkey. Kelly is the mother of a beautiful transgender young woman. Her daughter inspires her to be an activist for the transgender community. As president of the nonprofit Trans Kids and Families of Texas, Kelly pursues the group's mission of creating community, providing support, and educating and advocating for inclusivity and acceptance of all transgender people. Trans Kids and Families of Texas provides support to the parents of transgender and non-binary kids and young adults by providing a community, a safe place to ask questions and share resources and experiences. A journey that began for her daughter has become her life's passion. Thank you for joining us, Kelly. We also have Amy Barrier. Amy serves as a family nurse practitioner and has been working in HIV services and with the LGBTQAI+ population since 2008. Initially, Amy served as a nurse and eventually as a provider. She currently works at Prism Health, North Texas, caring for people who are living with HIV and people who are seeking HIV prevention through PrEP. In addition, she provides hormone replacement therapy for transgender and non-binary people, both insured and uninsured, at Prism Health, a wonderful resource for anyone in need. Amy is also seeking her PhD in nursing and is the mother of 3 adult children. Thank you for joining us, Amy. We'd also like to say good morning to Krista De La Rosa. She is a 31-year-old trans woman currently residing in Dallas. Krista has an extensive background spanning more than 8 years in marketing and entertainment and has run several local music venues, concert halls, and nightclubs. She worked with organizations such as the AIDS Healthcare Foundation, Artitude, and Texas Latino Pride, a Dallas-based festival that takes place in October. Krista is a leader and activist in the LGBTQ community, bringing her fun and energetic personality to the world. Krista is also a web show and radio personality, a former host on 106.1 KISS FM, and she now hosts her own self-titled show, The Krista De La Rosa Show. She thrives to make a difference in the LGBTQ+ community. Not only will she make you laugh, she will melt your heart with her dainty demeanor and bubblegum sweet personality. Thank you for joining us today, Krista. Last but absolutely not least is Miss Shannon Walker. I wanted to introduce her last because Shannon is the person who brought the proposal to the City of Dallas and encouraged us to have today's panel discussion. I am forever thankful and in your debt, Shannon, for allowing me and trusting me to work with you all to bring this together today. Shannon is the CEO of New Transgender Movement. She was born and raised in Dallas, Texas. Shannon is an advocate for the transgender population and works within Texas communities to change policy and facilitate training to ensure anti-transphobic and inclusive environments. Shannon is the first transgender woman of color to develop and implement a diversity training on gender identity and gender expression for the Dallas Police Department Academy. Shannon lives in the Dallas area with Benson the Labrador. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you, thank you. Now, I want to jump right into today's discussion. I wanted to start really um, by honoring the past. Shannon, you presented the proposal to the city and spoke at a council meeting requesting that we focus on the day of visibility rather than on the day of remembrance. I want to bring this discussion, begin this discussion by thanking you for your determination to shift the focus and to make this day a day of celebration. I also want to begin by honoring the leaders, the OGs, so to speak, in the transgender community with a historical perspective. Shannon, would you like to speak about or provide some historical perspective as you discuss transgender leaders?
Absolutely. And thank you very much for the opportunity. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am. You're good.
Okay, good. Great. Well, first of all, I'm just so honored to share the space with some amazing individuals today. It's an honor. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And yes, we have some amazing trans people who are a part of our history and the culture that we, would love to acknowledge. I always say, without them, there'd be no us. They paved the way. There was Monica Roberts, for instance. She was a Houston native that started documenting trans history, Black trans history specifically, a long time ago. When media outlets and journalists, when that weren't really a part of the stories in the news. So, we always want to acknowledge her and all the other trans, visible individuals that are out there that are, paving the way and are creating seats at the tables to enable trans people to move forward and it better their life, their quality of life. Amy Stevens, rest in peace. Laverne Cox, Janet Mock. We have some local trans people, Marion Anderson, that's moving and shaking, that's creating some great opportunities for people locally. Nisi X and Pocahontas Duval over at the House of Rebirth. They've created a great foundation for Black, trans youth and people to the advancement of trans people. The visibility is very important. We often see, and as we know, Dallas has been the hub of violence for trans people more than we've had our fair share. So I think it's very important that we also highlight the positives that that we have going on in the community, which is we have a lot. Dallas has one of the biggest trans communities in the South, and we do have a lot of positive things that are going on. It's just tough sometimes. You have to search long and hard to find those positive stories. And me interacting with young trans people and hearing, that's all they see when they turn on the TV. Just not having the resources that that are available now, even when I transitioned, that could have saved my mom and my family 20 years of trauma that we're still trying to work through because the resources such as this platform wasn't available then. So we're just trying to just do what we can to acknowledge the people that are out there doing the work, that have committed their lives to bettering the transgender community. And I just want to say that I appreciate that, being a part of that community, that's very important to me. And I appreciate Dallas and the city, just the city, for allowing us this opportunity to put our resources and collaborate and network.
Well, thank you, Shannon. Are there other people that you all would like to recognize or acknowledge as historical figures for the transgender community? No? All right.
Well, Marsha P. Johnson, there's been Sylvia Rivera, there's been, as I mentioned earlier, Amy Stevens, we have Valerie Spencer, we have, I was just on a panel with HRC yesterday, and they have some very amazing trans people doing work over there. Tony can't think of her last name, but there's just, I mean, it's amazing the momentum that's just come forward 2021, and I know that we're in the teens in regards to the murders, but the positive that are coming out of the community collaborations are just phenomenal. And so it's just encouraging to me, and I know it's encouraging to the youth. So it's awesome. Thank you.
Well, thank you for highlighting the positives, but we also know that there are personal struggles that CIS gender individuals may not understand. So I just wanted to open this up to all the panelists to see if there are any struggles that you'd like to share in this safe space that would help us understand better.
I guess I'll go. So one of the things that we talked about yesterday on another panel that I sat on as well is, when you're speaking to someone who may be trans or non-binary or things of that nature, instead of calling or asking them preferred pronouns, when a trans woman is a woman, I am woman, there's, she, her, and hers, obviously, but I think we need to kind of cut back on asking people their preferred pronouns, because it can create a lot of discomfort sometimes, especially in a corporate workspace. Maybe not a lot of people want to put themselves out there, just to the world, just saying that they're trans. So we kind of have to respect each and every individual on a personal level whenever it's coming to getting to know who we are as a person. So that's one of the biggest things that I have seen for as struggles for a cisgender. And of course, resources is a big thing too. I know we have Amy and we have, Shannon and the other panelists that are on the panels. And those are some great resources. If you haven't already checked out any of the other panelist organizations, those are some great resources, because without those resources, we wouldn't have such a strong trans community and resources here in Dallas.
That's good. That's good.
And if
And
I
it
may,
is about respecting each individual. So that's what we all want. We all want to be viewed and seen as individuals and respected as such. So thank you, Krista, for sharing that.
absolutely. And if I may piggyback on that a little bit, Krista, on the misgendering issue, which is very unnecessary. I experienced that recently with the company that I was had a part-time job with, and it's just it's such a it's sad, and it's mean. And I was forced with the decision to, okay, should I pursue a lawsuit, because there was definitely the opportunity there for one. And the lawyer was very frank, and he was like, well, considering the laws and everything in regards to harassment on the workplace and so forth, it's a tough one. And so I said, well, it's not really about the outcome. It's about just ensuring that people that come after me, that this is just not a normal environment. They're just not, spewing transphobic rhetoric around, as something that's fun and games. It's not about the outcome. I just want to ensure that they know that there's some people out here that's concerned about that. And that was a concern for me, being a trans person, because this is not the first time that it's happened to me. And I've reached out many times to try and find resources to get some resolution for that. So, I think we need to be more intentional when we are interacting with one another, just on a human one-on-one perspective. Because some of these people are just trying to provide for their families. They already have anxiety. They're already going through everything else layered, the layered systemic traumas and things that are already going on in society with the stigmas and stuff. So people are vulnerable, and you might get a little young person in there that's just trying to provide for their families, and who knows what that might drive them to do. So I just think that we have to do better. We saw that COVID and the winter storm brought a lot of isolation and other things just into normal people's lives. So just imagine a community that's already, having a hard time. So those are just things that I think should definitely be looked at from a cis perspective when engaging the larger community.
If I will share just real quickly a brief story, Shannon, to talk about, the things that you were just mentioning. There was a particular business that misgendered someone here in our own backyard recently for being transgendered. Instead of acknowledging her appearance in the way she presented herself, they chose to misgender her and call her out of her name and things of that nature at this specific business. And we had to sit down with them and give them that training on how to handle things like that, because that's important in a workspace. If businesses would train and have the education on things representing our trans community or just our rainbow community in general, I think it would build such a better world.
Absolutely. And I thank you for sharing that. And again, that's part of the reason the city is having that panel at noon for city employees, so that we can make sure that we're not just asking other people to do, but that we're doing also. I found it interesting, Shannon, that you kept saying people were providing for their families. They're working, they're trying to do. And it's unfortunate because sometimes family abandonment is real in the full rainbow community, but also for transgender individuals. Kelly, your child came to you, and you all worked together through the process of transitioning. And I want to have you share your story, because at the end, and I think throughout, you were able to maintain a loving familial relationship. And I love that in your bio, you said something that you started doing for your child has become a passion. And it's a part of what you share and hope other Texas families will be able to come out with smiles, sunshine, and lots of love. So would you like to share your story?
Sure, I would love to. I'll start by saying I love my child unconditionally. And I feel really bad for those parents who have trouble accepting when their child comes out as non-binary or transgender, because you miss so much of who you could be when you accept your child. But to go back to the beginning, so I had this kid who was rambunctious and bright and funny and ferocious. And as she approached puberty, there started to be a little bit of suicidal ideation. And by the time she got to high school, there was anxiety and depression, and we really just didn't know what to do. So when she came out to me, when she just after her 18th birthday, she came out to me as transgender, I thought, oh, thank goodness. Now I know where to look for help. So obviously I didn't. This was 2015. And when you go on the internet in 2015 and look for transgender resources, there was nothing positive. So we juggled therapists, we juggled doctors, and finally in 2017, I saw an article in the Dallas Morning News about a family in the DFW area, and they had a transgender teen. I was like, oh my gosh. So I reached out to that mom, and she referred me to Trans Kids and Families. And that's where our journey really started. My daughter was able to become consistent with her hormone replacement therapy. We had a community to share resources, and people who felt like family, who accepted us as we were. And the younger kids in the group at the socials could see that Selena as an adult was functioning and accepted by their parents and her parents. I just can't even fathom what we would have done without this group. Selena told me a long time ago that she does not want to lead the parade, but she'd be really proud if I would. And so that's what I'm doing.
That's lovely. And I think the thing that you said when we were doing sound check is that you're trying to now bring other families into the fold, because this is not something that's isolated to one community or to one race or ethnic group, but people may not be aware that you all are here or that you all exist and that there are resources available. Would you quickly share information of how someone can get in touch with you or how a family could get in touch with you all?
Absolutely. So we do have a website, transkidsandfamiliesofTexas.org. But I would like for you to email me directly at info@transkidsandfamiliesoftexas.org. I know it's long. Info@transkidsandfamiliesoftexas.org. And we can talk about what you need. We can add you to the group if that's what you would like. The group started with 25 people, 5 families in a group therapy situation. And they began to realize that what they had was really special. And they wanted to share these resources and this feeling of community and tribe with other people. And so what started with 5 families, 25 people, is now in the thousands of members across the state of Texas. And we get new members every day. And right now we're doing monthly Zoom meetings. We're having chats. New family members can come in and talk about what they're experiencing, and the experienced parents can talk about how they resolved those issues. We share with people how important it is to use the chosen name and the pronouns and what that means to the transgender person and or the non-binary as well. So I would encourage anyone who has a non-binary or transgender child to reach out to us, and we'll share our resources and help you in any way we can.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Would anyone else like to share a positive from their family support experience?
Yeah, sure. I'll go. I'll take a whack at it. So I was, also one of those just very energetic, very outgoing kids and things of that nature. And I've always kind of more or less felt that I may not be in the right skin. And so when my father had passed away, I never really had, I guess, that masculine role in my life of that nature, because it was just me and my mom. But just growing up with my mom and my brothers and sisters and things of that nature, just being adapted, and them just kind of being like, we don't care how you act, we don't care anything, just be who you want to be. So when I graduated high school at 16, I was like, okay, what's next? What's next in this great big world? So I started doing my research and things of that nature, and I started doing my HRT and, doing my therapy and things of that nature. And finally, when I decided to tell my mom, because I actually started out just doing drag, just kind of dabbling into the drag, just kind of seeing if it's something that, was really meant for me. And, it was. So I had finally found my home and my comfort, and I sat my mom down. I was like, Mom, I think I'm transgender. And she was like, I already knew. I was like, what? Why didn't you tell me? She was like, I was just waiting on you to come and tell me. And I was like, okay, I see what's going on here. So, my mom and all of my family has just been this big support system and this big positive and uplifting thing. So it feels really good to have a really good support system, but not everybody has that. But I'm one of the fortunate people who has a good support system.
I am so glad that you had a positive experience. I love that you said that was like, I already knew. Mamas know everything. They really do. So in addition to learning to manage family relationships, many members of the transgender community they establish strong relationships with their medical providers because their medical providers know everything about them and in many cases are helping them through the transition with hormone replacement therapy. Amy, you represent Prism Health. Can you talk about the importance of not only having, but maintaining the relationship um, with your medical provider and how you connect with your clients? I'm not asking you to name your favorite client. I'm just trying to get information in general.
Just like our kids, we can't have a favorite patient, right? We kind of do. But it's very important that providers, healthcare providers, maintain a rapport with their patients. Number one, to ensure that the patients are comfortable coming to the provider when they have issues or when they, maybe feeling like they need help, be it mental health or STD testing, those things that we don't like to talk about in the open. As you said, your doctor, your nurse practitioner, your physician assistant knows everything about you, at least they should, so that they can take care of the whole you. So I feel like maintaining a welcoming environment for patients, maintaining an affirming environment for our patients is very, very important. I've had a patient in the past that when I called his voicemail had a different name on it than what they presented with in the clinic. And I was like, wait a minute, is this what you really prefer to go by? And he was like, yeah, that's actually kind of, what I'm leaning toward changing my name to and so forth. And I said, absolutely, let us know that. We want to address you by the name that you're going by. I always make sure to address my patients by their name, not by what's on paper or what's on their ID, by their name. And I feel that if we as healthcare providers do not maintain good, healthy, and strong relationships with our patients, we cannot help them get the preventative health measures that they need that are so very, very challenging for a lot of the folks in the trans community. One of the biggest things that I've kind of seen in the last year that I've been doing the HRT program for our uninsured patient population is the number of trans guys who have not had any kind of gynecological care because they are uncomfortable walking into a GYN office because of how they may be perceived by either the staff or the other patients in the lobby.
That's right.
Not only do they, when they're going to go to a specialist of some sort, need to find someone who is on their insurance or will take a self-pay situation, but also someone who will be an office who will be, LGBT friendly, no matter how they identify or how their, what their sexual orientation is. I've had patients come back that were not trans, but were gay and went to the GI doctor for a colonoscopy, and there were some unfortunate comments made about the colonoscopy not being a big deal for him. And I was like, oh my, please tell me they did not say that out loud. So I immediately marked that provider off of the list of anybody I would ever refer a patient to again, because I didn't want anybody else to be put in that situation. So like I said, not only do we have to find providers that will take care of their health needs, but also providers that will take care of them as a whole person in an accepting manner. So, quite often my patients are asking me for referrals to other providers, and I'm slowly putting together lists of who I can safely send them to. So yeah, those are kind of the things that we try to take care of in our little amount of time that I get to have with my patients. I wish I could have, hour-long appointments with every patient. I talk a lot. But I like to get their story. I like to kind of know what's going on. I like to, make sure that we can help them in any way we can. And one other aside that I will say from a health and mental health perspective, I've had many patients who have come to me all, currently in therapy or currently on antidepressants. And once they've gotten on affirming hormones and started to see the changes to their bodies that they are so looking for and so missing, that they have been able to go off of their antidepressants, all of their mental health issues. It's not the case for everybody, but all of their mental health issues were centered around that, as Krista said, not feeling right in their own skin.
So when you feel more like yourself, like your true self, it brings healing to the whole person. I love that. I love that. And I thank you for being a medical provider who cares about treating the whole person. I wanted to ask a quick follow-up question about the hormone replacement therapy. How would someone get in contact with your clinic in order to start seeking that service?
Sure. So the clinic, we currently do that service out of our clinic in Oaklawn off of Lemon. It's at 2801 Lemon Avenue, Suite 200 is the second floor. The clinic is where we both provide HIV service, PrEP, and hormone services. There's also an on-site pharmacy and on-site lab. The phone number there is 469-687-3200. And there is also, I believe, and I'm looking real quick, I believe there is still an requested appointment. Yes, there is still a information on where you can request an appointment electronically on our website, which is phnTX.org, prismhealthnorthtexas.org.
Thank you so much. And for those who are attending today, we will include these resources and information in the follow-up email that comes after today's session. But thank you for sharing it now. But just in case you didn't get it all, you'll have a chance to get it via email. Would anyone else like to share about health-related concerns or other resources within the community that we would need to amplify during this time?
I know that the Resource Center has some options for young trans people. They have their Gender Brave program on Monday nights, which is on Zoom now, which is my daughter attended for a couple of years. And then I believe on Tuesdays they have therapy, or it's more of a holistic rather than social meeting. So you can go on the Resource Center website and find those resources there. They have a lot that's very handy for both young people and adults.
All right. Any other resources or information?
Yeah, so you guys can check out the AIDS Healthcare Foundation as well, because they do have some doctors that are under their care, and they also do free HIV and STD testing at several different locations around the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. And then the last one is a new program that was just launched for certain states that have big trans communities. It's called FOLX, but it's spelled with an X, FOLX. And they are actually providing free hormone replacement therapy and doctor's visits virtually for up to a year to people of color or by people of color in the community. So that's another program that you guys can check out. I know they're getting ready to open up the applications for April, and it's a really simple application. It's not like a real expensive long. That's just another resource. And then of course you have AOC in Fort Worth as well. So there's a lot of great resources.
You are a wealth of information. Thank you so very much. We will make sure we share that information out. One of the things that I absolutely loved about putting this panel together was how close and supportive the community is. Um, a rally point and a source of pride is the beautiful mural at Cedar Springs and Throckmorton. If you have not seen it, you can go by, you can drive by and see it. It's absolutely wonderful. And Krista, you were involved in helping to bring that mural to Dallas. Would you be kind enough to tell us how you did that and what your role was?
There we go. Yeah. So I'm part of an organization that's called Artitude Incorporated. And we have several different programs that with Last Night in Black History, we have our Latin art program, we have our online podcast and magazine, and then we have our trans program, which I'm the director of, which is called Transpose. So when the first mural we actually did is literally on that wall that's across from it, which is a homage to HIV awareness. AARP was actually one of our big sponsors for that HIV mural and our trans mural, alongside Impulse Group Dallas. They helped us out tremendously. During the time that this mural was going on, it was literally everything that was happening around the world and everything that was happening in our own backyard. We know the Malaysia Booker case, the Chanel Lindsay case, and things of that nature. We as Artitude wanted to come together and figure out what can we do to pay homage to all of our trans brothers and sisters without stepping on any toes. So myself, Shannon, and a bunch of different organizations around the DFW, we got together and put together not a more so of a somber moment because all of this violence was happening in our own backyard, but we did a rally and march to uplift our Black trans community here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, and we marched our booties all the way from the Resource Center all the way to the Muriel, which was like 2 miles, and we were so tired. It was just generally an idea that Artitude got together and wanted to be supportive of trans community in general, because we feel like sometimes in our own cities, one community is highlighted more than the other. And that's why I'm really glad we have today for the city of Dallas as our day of visibility, because we're here, we're people, we won't be overlooked anymore. So again, we appreciate you guys for putting this together, because we need more dialogue and more conversations like this with like-minded people so people can stay educated.
Thank you for your work there. So Shannon, you were involved in that as well. Does that mural hold special meaning to you? What does it mean, or how do you feel when you pass it and see it? We can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes. You went out again. Now we hear something.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, just this terrible audio. Yes, that mural is it's special to me. I drive by there often. It's, Marsha and Sylvia. I'm actually Facebook friends with Marsha P. Johnson's nephew, Al Michaels. So, yeah, it gets pretty, when I'm feeling down or, when I need to be empowered or motivated, I go by there. And I know I mentioned it to you when you and I were speaking the other day, because I was actually sitting in the parking lot just looking at it. I think I sent you pictures of it. I was just texting through my windshield. So it's a pretty special thing, just as Krista mentioned, for us to have a space that we can call our own, considering it's been pretty challenging in the years past trying to create this movement of trans visibility and moving forward within the city and stuff. So it's good to see, and it feels good, and it gives us hope. And I'm starting to see it more circulating on social media and stuff. So that's great. So yeah, it's just a beautiful thing. Considering, the rainbow crosswalks and everything over there, I was like, it's a great, yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love that you said it provides you a sense of hope. Like when you're feeling down, you can go and you can look at it. Everyone needs an anchoring point, a way to feel connected. And I think having something that you can go and look at and see, and not only know that you were a part of bringing it here, but that you're standing there realizing the importance of the work that they did. I think that may recharge your batteries in a sense to have all of you continue to fight when things get tough, or when you're losing direction, or feeling uneasy or unsteady. I think that's beautiful that it gives you new hope, new energy, and reminds you of how far we all have come. And you all are great leaders, and you have made amazing contributions to Dallas. And we are so thankful that y'all are here. Please don't move. We need y'all to stay here. Thank you. I want you to think through the work and the things that you have done. And if you don't mind, can you share with us what you feel your greatest accomplishment has been for or with Dallas's transgender community?
Well, for myself, if I may start, I think I have to say it would be the name change program that we initiated back in 2016, which is a peer-led, program that wasn't, I didn't even think it was something that was even a possibility. I didn't go to school for any of this. It was just a vision that I had when I noticed the challenges when I was transitioning here. I noticed that I looked back and I saw, the same, challenges and things that I experienced through my transition. People were still experiencing it in 2016, 2017. So I started networking with my white trans friends because they were getting their names changed by the boatload. But my community, for some reason, wasn't able to reach that resource for whatever reason. So, I just kind of got in there and, started researching, legal programs that were volunteering their times, internships, different, just learning and bringing that resource back to the community. And I started to notice, the empowerment and the improvement within oneself, the HIV, less survival sex work because they felt empowered enough to go get a present that ID and get a job. It's like getting a name change is almost like winning the lottery because it's like so many possibilities open up. I'm serious. It's like so many possibilities open up. I know the first thing is like when you get that ID, you just want to go somewhere to a bar or something that ridiculed you or didn't let you in before because you had mail on your ID. And then you're feeling like, okay, well, I can go back there now and with my new, self, with my affirmed ID, so it's the opportunities are endless. And what it does to a person's quality of life just cannot be measured. So, so I think for me, that is just a legacy that I would love to keep up and when I'm not here. So I'm extremely proud of that and the relationships that I've been able to build in the community through that. And so that's going to be my greatest accomplishment.
Well, thank you. Thank you for making the name change program a reality. Come on, y'all. This is your bragging point now. This is the moment you've been waiting for. Tell us all the good
you
things.
Don't want me to go on and on.
Okay.
You got to wait.
So I'll go ahead and go. Accomplishment implies that you're done with something. And I don't think I'm ever going to be done with this journey, but something that I'm proud of is my advocacy at my work. When I started there in 2015, I wasn't out yet. I didn't want to out my family. And when they started their Pride Employee Resource Group, I very quietly got involved. I also joined Toastmasters, I have to say, so I learned how to speak in public. And when I can remember when the first transgender panel that I organized at work, maybe 20 people came. And through my constant advocacy and telling my story, the word transgender is no longer whispered in my company. It's discussed. It is part of our conversation. And I was elected president of our ERG recently, the first heterosexual person to have that honor. And it was because I stood for my daughter. And so it's not an accomplishment because I'm not done, but it's a journey.
It's a journey.
I'll say just, and this isn't me directly, but our program at PRISM, we have been able to reach some patients. I've had patients come as far as Louisiana border, Shreveport area. I've had patients come from as far as Abilene, Lubbock, because there are no resources that they can find in their areas without insurance. Or even I had one kiddo who's in school in Tyler, and he was going to a endocrinologist out there, and the endocrinologist, which is who you would totally expect to be the right person to take care of hormones, told him that they just weren't comfortable enough with managing the hormones, and they weren't comfortable with what his labs were looking like, because when you give somebody hormones, you change their a lot of the things in the body and in the labs that would be abnormal for somebody who was their birth sex, but once their gender has been correctly reassigned hormone wise, chemically, you have to kind of look at all of those labs from the angle of, you know, where they are now, where they are living now. And it doesn't always line up with what you expect with the lab. So he just was not comfortable with taking care of the patient. I'm just a little nurse practitioner in Dallas who primarily does HIV care. And I happily took him on and have taken on, you know, quite a few people who've just had absolutely no access to services. And I'm very proud that we're able to reach those people. I wish that I didn't have to. I wish that they had resources in their area, but we've kind of worked around telehealth and trying to, you know, help reach them in ways that we can, so that they can get the services that they need.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
I would say that my greatest accomplishment would be meeting so many amazing people that represent such an amazing community, like Shannon and Carmarian and Carter Brown, and just meeting people who are just like always attacking, like not attacking, but always in the limelight, always got something going on, like always plugged in, and they're always trying to plug me in as much as they can. And really just being able to work together and build a stronger community, and just really put ourselves out there as the forefront, as the leaders that people can come to and ask whatever. That would be my greatest accomplishment, because together we are stronger.
I love it. Together we are stronger. I love how there's just joy between y'all. Some of you I didn't realize didn't know one another before today, but I have a feeling that when this whole world opens up, we're going to have a great celebration based on today's conversation. And it's just going to be an amazing time to share. And as the old folks say, I can't wait to hug y'all's necks, because I am just so excited about the opportunity to work with y'all. And I wanted today's discussion to be about hope, because we see the pain and we understand it. Some of you have mentioned the people who were not treated well by society and are no longer with us. And you've mentioned stories where people who are still here have not been treated well. And I wanted to make sure that if there are people who are currently in the situation where work is not a place where they find comfort, if their medical providers aren't, if their family isn't, if they haven't found their community, I wanted them to know that things really do get better, right? There are amazing people like you all who are here, ready, available, and willing to offer whatever assistance you can. If there was just one thing you could say to a young person or to a non-binary transgender individual who is still in the early stages of the process, if there's something you could say to give them hope, what would it be?
I would say just keep going. Keep going. Don't give up, because you just never know what the end game or the outcome is. You just never know what life has in store for you. My childhood was so very traumatic, and I considered throwing in the towel so many times, but I'm so very glad that I did not, because you would not have this beautiful, wonderful person that sits before you. So I know that, someone asked me the other day about role models and who was my role model. And I have a very hard time answering that question, because it just wasn't people around that looked like me, that I could aspire to and look up to when I was young. So, but there are now. There are many people. There are myself. There's Krista. There are many people to look up to and that are doing really amazing things. So hang in there. Don't give up. Just hang in there.
I think my message would be believe. All things are possible to those who believe. Give yourself time to discover who you are as a person. Don't think that it's going to come to you overnight, even though we all want that feeling of it happening to us so fast. But just give yourself time. Trust me, the end result will be so much better. Just believe. And again, like my sister Shannon said, don't give up.
I love it. Kelly, is there anything you would say to the parents or to the children?
Well, to the children and the teens and the young adults and the adults who are going through transition, whether it's social transition or physical transition, medical transition, I agree with Shannon and Krista. Don't give up. Keep going. It will absolutely get better. And for the parents of those kids, teens, young adults, and adults, follow your kids' lead and just keep loving them.
Loving them, loving them. Now, Amy, you express love very differently for your clients in how you treat them and relate to them. What's your guidance or words of wisdom that you speak to them to help heal their souls?
I let them know that we're here to work together, that and to those out there, observing the panel today, there are resources available. You've just got to find them, reach out to any of the resources that we talked about today. But when I meet with my patients, especially new patients, I've had lots and lots of brand new people getting ready to transition. I let them know that we're going to work to what they want. If they, whatever they want to have done, I'm there to make it happen or help them make it happen and safely. From a health perspective, medical perspective, keep them safe so they're not going to the street and getting hormones off the street and making those decisions. We're going to do it in a healthy way. And just let them know that, as was already said, it does take time. It's not an overnight process. We're going to be working together for some years before I only need to see you twice a year. It's kind of, we're going to be working together for some years to get things where things need to go. And we're going to, essentially go through puberty again together. So we're making lots of changes, and it's going to take a little while, but it will get there. It just takes a little while.
We are going through puberty again together.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. All right then. All right. The good news is no one has to go through this alone. For any individual who needs information resources, again, we'll have a follow-up email. All the resources that they've discussed we'll share as a part of our thank you. And more importantly, I want you to see this beautiful group of people who are before you. Amazing people with hearts the size of Texas who are here to help and to serve not only as a resource, but to welcome you into the community so you don't feel like you're going through this alone. Our time is very quickly coming to a close, but I wanted to do two things. One, I wanted to say that by proclamation of the mayor, today is International Transgender Day of Visibility, and we just want to take a moment to celebrate that. We are so excited about that, and we are so grateful and so thankful to have a city that is supportive of all of its residents, all of its residents. And so I thank you all for participating today. I also was given a list of organizations and groups that we want to acknowledge. They may not be here with us on the panel. They may be tuned in. They may just be supporters that other folks need to know of. So I'm going to go through this list, and if there are other groups that need to be acknowledged, we will do that also. So we'll begin with New Trans Movement Inc., the House of Rebirth, Trans Pride Initiative, Prism Health of North Texas, VFW Trans Kids and Families, which is Trans Kids and Families of Texas, Serena Baker Counseling, Resource Center Dallas, Abounding Prosperity Incorporated, Transfusion Radio, Krista De La Rosa's and Your Amazing Show, Marty's Live, and of course, we were told, this was not my doing, I didn't make this list, I was told to thank the City of Dallas Office of Equity and Inclusion, Human Rights Division. I know that there are other amazing groups in Dallas that have been advocates, supporters, and fans of the transgender community. If there are others that were left off the list, now is your time to give a shout out.
I just wanted to throw in there Transcendence International and Planned Parenthood. Those are the only two that I could think of that were not included in the list. But LaToya, thank you so much. You're so sweet. This is such an emotional thing for me. I got a little choked up many times during the program, but because it's a first, and I'm just so honored to be a part of this, and it's so special. So thank you, and I'm going to shut up.
Well, unfortunately, we all got to hush up because our time has come to a close. It is 11:59. I want to say thank you again. I have so enjoyed this. I will be in touch with each of you individually because y'all are family now. So I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. For our attendees, we thank you as well. As a reminder, for any City of Dallas employee, please feel free to join the International Trans Day of Visibility panel that's being held by the City of Dallas for city employees. Thank you again. Everyone have a wonderful day. Do something amazing to celebrate today. Bye, y'all.
Okay, how do I?